It was a good meeting, actually. Had a lot of conversation about where his administration is going in terms of tax reform. And I was able to say, as the largest investor in the United States of America, that's pretty important to us. And the implications to us, if you actually can get tax reform done as they're describing it, which I think would be significant.
Would it mean that you'd be spending even more money in the United States?
Look,
I think it's been 5 years running that AT&T's been the
Yeah, in fact, I mentioned to him, we spent over the last 5 years $140 billion. That's looking back, not forward. A lot of people have come in and said they'll spend $100 billion in the future. We spent 140 over the last 5 years, and if you get this kind of tax reform, it would have significant implications to capital investment for a company like ours. Yeah, to answer your question directly, we probably would step our capital spending up.
You have a big business in South America and Mexico.
Right.
Did you speak to him at all about that and the implications of some of his trade policies and other things?
No, it didn't come up. Our Mexican investments are really not that affected by his trade policies.
Okay.
We're investing heavily in Mexico.
But those investments were in reaction to the existing administration's moves, weren't they?
Yeah, a lot of what happened in the regulatory front here kind of gave us the impetus to look elsewhere for investment. And so as a result, we looked at Mexico. It looked like a really great place to invest. It was a very different regulatory environment, very conducive to investment. Which that's one of the other things we talked about with the president-elect, is the regulatory environment. He asked me straight up, he says, has this regulatory environment been difficult for you guys? And I said, it's had a huge impact on how we think about investment in the U.S. And so we talked about what the implications of streamlining regulation would be. And again, I think it's important for American business.
What areas would look more conducive to investing in the United States if some of these policies that we've heard about actually come to fruition? What would be some things that AT&T might do as a result?
Oh, if you think about, I'll start with tax reform, then go into regulation. But on tax reform, all of us are chomping at the bit on deploying fifth-generation wireless technology and even more fiber. And tax reform just changes the equation for that, right? I mean, it really does change how you think about deploying capital. You would accelerate capital investment.
So what's the path now for 5G, for example, in terms of how quickly do you think that gets rolled out across the country if nothing happens? And if you get tax reform and then your tax bill is now 20% or whatever number you want to put it at, how more quickly does that expand?
I can't tell you exactly how much more quickly we would deploy the technology. Right now, we're on a path of getting the standards done in a 2018 time horizon. Would you begin to preview that, if you will, begin to deploy fiber in anticipation of 5G deployment? Yeah, I think you probably would.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.